Hello everybody, hope you're doing okay. Welcome to our place in Portugal. Now, Sue sent me a task of sorting out all my shoes. I've lined them all out here and I've got to get them down so I can fit them onto this little shoe rack here.
And can I just say, Tim, I did not give you the task of showing everybody all the washing, but to all your lovely followers, look at that excessive number of pairs of shoes for our tiny little house here. Quite frankly, some of them have got holes in. Enough, Tim, enough. They need to be thrown out. I don't know what my little Pegasus are doing at the end.
So Sue's decided she can't be on camera.
No, I can't be on camera because I'm all looking highly like something the cat dragged in. I'm off camera like Mrs. Man wearing. So, Tim Gross, excessive. You know what the Irish say? You need two things, good bed or a good pair of shoes. If you're not in one, you're in the other. That is beyond nonsense.
So let's have a look at these shoes.
Tim, if they've got a hole in the bottom, the clue is they need to be chucked out, not assessed.
I've got the Endorphin Speed original version in the New York colourway. I've got the latest Endorphin Speed 4s, Vomero 17s, Invincible 2s, Nike Streak LT3. Look at the difference between the heels on those two shoes. Amazing, isn't it? These are the original Nike Next Presents Vaporflys. These are version 2 Vaporflys. Pegasus Plus. Then Air Deschutz sandals, it's Laoxo slides, Nike Wearallday trainers, which is my around shoes basically, got some body part insoles in there, and Sue's Pegasus 41s in a UK 5.5.
And this, Tim Gross, is a very strategically positioned, big black dustbin liner. Because they're not even fit for, random people that might want to collect them from the recycling point. Bin liner, Dr. Gross, that is your challenge. You've got a perfectly adequate shoe rack from IKEA. That is your challenge.
Okay, so let's have a look at these shoes. I've got the original Endorphin Speeds on my left here in the blue, and the white ones here are the Endorphin Speed 4s. Now, the Speed 1s have done just under 250 miles. I think they're a candidate to be retired. The outsoles of them aren't too bad, but I'm kind of thinking that I don't really need to keep wearing shoes past the sell-by date, as it were. Even these Endorphin Speed 4s, which have done 150 miles, were perhaps a bit early to throw them out. Yeah, I did actually bring these with me, so I might just take these back home and get a few more miles out of them. One thing I thought was interesting, look at how much wider the heel is on the Speed 4 compared to the Speed 1. They did say that the Speed 1 was quite unstable for some people, and it seems to be a tradition now in shoes to make them ever wider. So it's quite evident how that is coming about there. I must say that I didn't really feel that there's too much sort of on-field difference between the two shoes. They definitely feel like an Endorphin Speed. Some people say, what is the equivalent to a Speed 1? Well, the obvious answer is a Speed 4 in terms of the latest shoe. But yeah, just sort of slightly different feel on foot, but very, very similar, to be honest. Okay, so next up we've got the Invincible 2s, the red ones on my left, and we've got the Vomero 17s, the black ones on my right. So these are what I might call like the daily trainers, perhaps on the plush side. Certainly the Invincible 2 is perhaps the most plushish shoe I've got. I keep this one here largely for days when I just feel like I need a bit of extra love under my feet, and especially with Achilles problems of late. And yeah, that has been quite a useful shoe now and again, but I do feel like there's an awful lot of hard work in this shoe, and I feel like I'm sinking a lot, and it's quite a heavy shoe. It's around about 380 grams for me. Vomero 17s is kind of similar, and it's got the Zoom X as well, but not quite as much Zoom X. And it feels like a sort of slightly more squidgy, plusher version of the Pegasus 41s. A lot of people say that they can't run in the Pegasus 41 and you need to run in these ones. I brought these ones with me out here, mainly to think I might actually leave them here. What's really interesting, I think, is just how wide the heel is on the Invincible 2. I didn't actually get the Invincible 3s. I'm not sure that I really enjoyed the Invincibles enough to feel like I needed to go buy another pair. And the Invincible 2s were so close to the Invincible 1s. I didn't think I was getting any different shoe. If I then bring in the LT3 from 2015, you can see that's the heel on the Invincible 2 is almost twice as wide. I don't think normally these shoes are quite as wide as they make out. I saw a friend's in a UK 9 and it was nowhere near as wide relatively. It was maybe half the width of this. So I think, well, maybe it's just in my size, they just really balloon out these shoes, and maybe that's just why they're so heavy sometimes.
Mrs. Man wearing, still not presenting for visual reasons.
You haven't got a microphone on.
Sorry?
You haven't got a microphone, you know?
I've got a microphone on, but I'm sure they can hear me. I want to know how many pairs are going in that bag.
Yeah. Sue's rudely interrupted me. So where was I? Anyway, so yeah, both these shoes have a purpose, but I think they're very much for easy days and just when I want a bit extra tender love. I think the most amount of miles I'll probably get in these is about 10 miles, but I could run further in them, but I just feel that it's a bit of a hard effort to run any more of them. Now, if you come to my Vaporflys, the Aurora green one on my left here is the Vaporfly 2, and this is the Valerian blue in the original Vaporfly. Now, I've done just over 300 miles in the original Vaporfly and just over 200 miles in the Vaporfly 2. Now I think unfortunately this original Vaporfly may have had its day, but a little chip has come out of there, and in the outsole I'm wearing through the shoe. So if I'm going to try and get rid of a few shoes, I think sadly this one will have to be the one that has to go. And interestingly, this is actually the lightest pair of Vaporfly ones I've got. 248 grams in the left shoe, 246 grams in this one, and maybe a bit less if I chop that bit off as well. But yeah, I think these have had their day. I've had some good innings out of them. I've actually got another pair of these back home, which have also done a lot of miles. So not as if I'm going to lose a colourway, but I think if Sue wants me to get rid of a few shoes, then I think sadly these will have to go, won't they? But what I'll do is I think I'll keep my Vaporfly 2s here. These are the shoes I actually wore to a 37-minute 10K a couple of years ago. So these now are a shoe that is 3 years old and still going well at 200 miles. Not quite as much wear in these. You know, I was just a bit discoloured and stuff, but you know, I did the session in them the other day and yeah, felt fine. My legs maybe sort of taken a battering from having this sore Achilles problems, but yeah, in terms of actually getting running, getting going, absolutely good. So yeah, I'll keep these ones here and use them for a few more sessions. So it's interesting to compare the Vaporflys to the LT3s, which were the shoe of choice. I think Mo Farah might have run a marathon in these circa 2015. These are actually got the label, actually says on them that they actually were made in 2015. Now, these are shoes that I found quite handy for running on the beach, but I just tried to put them on just now and I could barely get them on. They are a 13, same as these ones, but you wouldn't really notice it, would you? So I think in these ones now, this is almost too extreme. I think just about get away with it running on the beach, but I did actually buy a new pair off, or a new to me pair off eBay. So I might actually retire these pair and bring out the other pair for some sand runs, because I think these days running on anything other than sand, even grass, may be just too much for my Achilles. And if you think, well, Nike always do a 10mm drop, well, I'm not quite sure what drop these are, but I think they're probably notionally a 4mm drop or less. I mean, basically these are a track spike without any spikes. I mean, I've actually worn these for an 800-meter race and a track 5,000 when I didn't really fancy spikes, and yeah, that was sort of before Dragonflies. Nowadays these shoes are virtually obsolete. So really interrupted there by my battery running out. Just saying that the Nike Streak LT3 is one of the few shoes that I've got under 200 grams, which you might call in inverted commas a road shoe. So yeah, quite a handy shoe to have, but I think if I'm trying to get rid of a few, then maybe sadly these ones will have to go as well. Okay, so if we come on to little and large shoes here, this is the Pegasus 41 in the pink, Sue's pair. These are a UK 5.5, and these are my Pegasus Plus in a UK 13. Now, I think it's what's interesting, you can almost see how narrow a foot I have relatively, that if you look there, I would say almost that Sue's width of the shoe with the laces sort of like quite wide and mine sort of pulled in is actually fairly similar, would you say? So perhaps just goes to show that sometimes how much of a struggle I have with shoes, because they just don't sort of seem to be geared up for me. But anyway, I'm getting on quite well with the Pegasus Plus. I think very much a lightweight daily trader, not particularly sort of like a stunning shoe. There's no plating in it. You feel like you're in a fairly traditional shoe. It just feels like it's a bit lighter and a bit more sort of bouncy than the Pegasus 41, but I think a Pegasus 41 is a very handy shoe to have. When I was doing a lot of run walking in the summer, I found that was a very great shoe for walking and just a very sort of nice shoe to have on. I had the Volt colorway in the Pegasus 41. So I think that some people say, do you need the Pegasus 41 and the Pegasus Plus? Well, yes, in a way, if you can afford both. I think they serve different purposes. Both obviously are daily trainers. Pegasus 41, you kind of feel like you're just wearing a traditional shoe, and some days that's all you want. I mean, I think Scooter Running just said it's a shoe to wear when you're not too bothered about your pace, you just want to go out and have a nice run. Pegasus Plus, you feel like you're wanting to pick up the pace a bit more, but as I said, it's not really a shoe that I would use for a session, but one of those shoes that if you took it on a holiday and only had one pair with you, and so you hadn't hidden the shoes, then perhaps it's a shoe that you could actually use for a session and it'll be absolutely fine. In terms of the wear on these ones, well, Sue doesn't really run, so her pair looking quite pristine. My Pegasus Plus have down about 60 miles now, looking absolutely fine, to have to say. Well, you kind of would expect that, wouldn't you? Just a bit of sand, really, from the living on the Armona here for a couple of weeks. Other than that, yeah, looking pretty good. Don't really feel like I need to clean my Pegasus Pluses yet. They still feel fairly white, and Sue's pink ones are still fairly pink, I would say. Just have a quick look at the sandals and the slides. I've got the Adidas Laoxo. I had to look up what shoe this was. I think I must have picked this up in a bargain bucket, but it's quite handy to just walk about the house if I just want to put something on my feet. And the Air Deschutz here in the UK 12, because they've got no, obviously, toe box restrictions, get away with the 12 in these ones. Quite handy for just walking about. Occasionally I might do a run in these. I think when I first reviewed them, I did a bit of a grass run, and I think, well, it's not really a running shoe, but it's a sort of shoe that if you need to pick up the pace, if you're a bit late for the ferry or something like that, you can. Kind of like a feeling that you've got quite a even sort of drop here, not really the 10mm drop you normally associate with Nike shoes, and quite a firm shoe in terms of the actual ride. And similar with the Adidas one, not really one you want to walk too far in, just about walk around to the bins and put the stuff in there and walk back again, but it saves your feet getting really wet and sandy, of course. And of course these shoes are quite good for going over sand, especially with obviously not wearing socks. A bit of a crime to wear socks with sandals, isn't it? And these are my general sort of knockabout trainers come driving shoes, the Nike Wearallday. I put some body partner insoles just to get a bit more arch support and raise my heel even more. And I've had these about 3 years now. I've got another pair, but I haven't actually started wearing them yet. So yeah, I found these really great, really comfortable, probably the most comfortable shoes I have. And a lot of people wear old running shoes that they don't actually like for running, for walking and stuff. I'm kind of thinking, well, if you don't like a shoe for running, why are you bothering to wear it at all? Why don't you just throw it in the bin? So yeah, I think if you're going to wear a shoe most of the day, if you're just sort of standing around and driving, walking around in, then the last thing you want is a shoe that you don't like at all. And well, if it's not comfortable, then why wear it? But yeah, as I said, these are very comfortable. And yeah, certainly a shoe that if you need to, you can run for the bus in it. And I've locked up about 20 miles over the years, just sort of odd little runs here and there. Okay, so I think of all the shoes I've got, these are the 3 pairs that I think sadly I'll have to get rid of. I'm not entirely sure that I need to get rid of the LT3s, but maybe there's an element that if I don't have them here, then I won't be tempted to run in them. And at the moment, wearing a shoe like this for my Achilles is about the last thing I want to do. And yeah, the Vaporflys here with a bit taken out of the heel and virtually no wear left where I toe off. Not so good. And also perhaps a bad memory of the shoe. This is the shoe I wore at the end of May here. Where, if you remember, I did a session, quite a good session, and then I sort of hobbled off and haven't been right since. So for the last 6 months, I haven't worn these shoes, and I'm thinking, well, bad memory of that session. So yeah, maybe get rid of these shoes. It will help me to kickstart my recovery, which has been going on far too long. So what do you think? Would you rather keep these shoes longer, or would you rather please Sue and put a few in the bin? Otherwise you might put a few in the bin for me. Anyway, hope you found this interesting. Like and subscribe on that, and see you in the next one then. Bye.